Jake Thompson, a 38-year-old bus driver, stops mid-route to rescue an injured dog in the rain. A few hours later, he is fired for failing to meet the schedule. In the evening, 3 black SUVs with mysterious strangers drive up to his house. Is it a threat or an unexpected twist of fate? The rain hammered down on the windshield of bus number 19, streaking the glass in relentless sheets. It was 6:45 a.m. in the gray sprawl of Cicero, a working-class suburb just west of Chicago, and Jake Thompson was behind the wheel, his hands steady on the cold, worn steering wheel. At 38, Jake had been driving this route for over a decade, long enough to know every pothole, every cranky passenger, and every trick to keep the aging bus rumbling along. The familiar smell of diesel and cracked vinyl seats filled the air as he muttered to himself. New day, same grind. He glanced at his phone, propped against the dashboard, hoping for an update from the home care service about his sister, Emily. She'd been battling lupus for years, and the meds weren't cheap. No message yet, just the hum of the engine and the patter of rain. The morning started like any other. At the first stop, Mrs. Dolores Rivera shuffled aboard, her reusable grocery bags clinking with cans. "Morning, Jake. How's Emily holding up?" she asked, tapping her transit card. "Stable, thanks to the nurse," Jake replied, forcing a thin smile. Next came Mr. Paul Grayson, a retired math teacher who always sat in the third row, grading papers with a red pen. "Cold one today, huh?" Paul said, settling in. Jake nodded, his eyes flicking to the road. The rain was picking up, and for once, he was on schedule, crucial after 2 warnings from his boss about delays. One from a flat tire last month, another when he'd raced home mid-shift to check on Emily after a bad flare-up. A third strike, and he'd be out. By 7:15, the bus was half full, humming along Greenleaf Avenue. Jake squinted through the blurred windshield, the wipers struggling to keep up. That's when he saw it. A soggy brown heap on the sidewalk, barely visible through the downpour. He slowed the bus, leaning closer to the glass. His stomach twisted as the shape came into focus. A dog, sprawled and shivering, its fur matted with rain and something darker, blood. A Labrador, maybe, its head barely lifting as the bus rolled closer. Jake's chest tightened. He checked the clock, right on time. The next bus wouldn't hit this stretch for another 30 minutes. The dog's eyes, dull with pain, locked onto his through the wet glass. "Hey, everything okay up there?" Paul called from his seat, peering over his glasses. Jake swallowed hard. "There's a hurt dog out there. I gotta check it." A murmur rippled through the passengers, some sympathetic, others annoyed. "Just don't take too long, huh?" said a woman in a nurse's uniform near the back. "They've been real strict about the schedule lately." She wasn't wrong. Jake's personnel file was already a mess, and his boss, Harrison Cook, had made it clear, one more slip-up, and he'd be cleaning out his locker. But those eyes, Jake couldn't shake them. "I can't just leave it there," he said under his breath, flipping on the hazard lights. He grabbed the cheap umbrella stashed under his seat and pushed the door open, the cold rain hitting him like a slap. Stepping onto the sidewalk, he crouched beside the dog. Up close, it was worse. Its left leg was gashed open, blood mixing with mud, probably clipped by a car or bike. A busted bicycle tire lay tangled in the bushes nearby. The lab whimpered, its tail giving a weak twitch as Jake reached out. "Hey, buddy, hang on," he whispered, his voice soft but firm. The umbrella wobbled in the wind as he peeled off his faded CTA jacket, draping it over the trembling animal. "Jake, you sure about this?" Paul shouted from the bus, leaning toward the open door. "I'll be quick," Jake called back, his heart racing. He slid his arms under the dog, heavier than he'd expected, maybe 60 pounds, and lifted it with a grunt. The lab's head lolled against his chest, soaking his uniform shirt as he stumbled back to the bus. Faces pressed against the windows, a mix of worry and impatience. "Anyone got a vet's number?" Jake asked, stepping aboard, rain dripping from his hair. Paul fished out his phone. "There's a clinic 3 blocks off on Cermak. I'll call ahead." Jake set the dog down near the front, still wrapped in his jacket. A little girl in a pink raincoat peeked over the seat. "Is he gonna be okay?" she asked, her voice small. "I hope so, kid. We're getting him help," Jake said, glancing at the clock, 7:25. 10 minutes behind already. He gripped the wheel, his knuckles whitening. This detour would cost him, maybe everything. But as the bus lurched forward, the dog's shallow breathing echoing in his ears. He knew he'd made the call. Right or wrong, it was done. The rain hadn't let up by the time Jake pulled bus number 19 up to the curb outside the Cermak Road Veterinary Clinic. It was 7:35 a.m., and the dashboard clock glared at him like an accusation. 20 minutes off schedule now. The Labrador, still bundled in his soaked CTA jacket, lay panting on the floor near the front. Jake's shirt clung to his skin, cold and heavy, but he barely noticed. His mind was a tangle of worry. Emily's next prescription refill was due in a week. Rent loomed at the end of the month, and this detour was a neon sign screaming third strike. He shoved the thought aside, cutting the engine. Be right back, he told the passengers, half of whom were already tapping out irritated texts or muttering under their breath. The clinic door swung open as he carried the dog inside, its weight straining his arms. A vet in teal scrubs, Dr. Lisa Carter, her name tag red, met him at the threshold. You the bus driver who called? She asked, gesturing to an exam table. Jake nodded, laying the lab down gently. Found him on Greenleaf. Looks like a bike hit him, legs torn up pretty bad. Dr. Carter knelt, her gloved hands probing the wound. You did the right thing bringing him in. He's got a chip. We'll track down the owner. Give me 10 minutes. Jake hesitated, glancing at the clock on the wall. I've got to get back. Route's already a mess. She gave him a quick nod. Leave your number with the desk. We'll update you. Back on the bus, the mood had soured. 20 minutes late now, man, grumbled a guy in a delivery uniform, scrolling through his phone. Missed my damn transfer. Jake bit back a reply, firing up the engine. Sorry, folks. Doing my best. The rest of the route blurred by stops, faces, complaints, all drowned out by the static in his head. By the time he rolled into the Cicero depot at 8:15, his phone buzzed with a text from Harrison Cook, the depot manager. After your shift, my office. Now, Jake's gut sank. He knew that tone. The depot was a cavern of grease and echoes, buses lined up like tired soldiers. Jake parked number 19, grabbed his soggy jacket from the floor, returned by a passenger who'd stayed with the dog, and trudged to the locker room. His hand shook as he changed into a dry shirt, stuffing his things into a battered duffel. 15 years on the job, and it could all end today. He thought of Emily, propped up on her couch at home, waiting for the nurse. Her last words that morning rang in his ears. Don't push yourself too hard, Jake. Too late for that. Harrison's office was a cramped box at the end of a fluorescent-lit hall, the door ajar. Jake knocked anyway, stepping in when a gruff "come" barked from inside. Harrison Cook sat behind a desk piled with papers, his bald head gleaming under the harsh light. He didn't look up from the file he was flipping through, Jake's file, no doubt. Sit, Harrison said, pointing to a metal chair. Jake sat, the damp chill of his uniform seeping into his bones. Want to tell me why you were 25 minutes late on a route you've driven blindfolded for a decade? Harrison's voice was flat, but his eyes were sharp. There was a dog, hurt bad, on Greenleaf, Jake started, keeping his tone steady. Couldn't leave it there to die. Harrison sighed, leaning back. A dog. That's your excuse. He slapped the file shut. You've got 2 warnings already, Thompson. One for that tire blowout, one for ditching mid-shift last month. Now this. Passengers missed connections, 6 complaints logged already. Jake clenched his jaw. Emily was sick that day, and the tire wasn't my fault. Today, Harrison cut him off. Doesn't matter. We've got a schedule to keep. CTA isn't a charity. I can make it up, Jake said, leaning forward. Extra shifts, weekends, whatever you need. Harrison shook his head, sliding a paper across the desk. Jake's eyes locked on the bolded words, termination notice. You're done, Jake. 15 years, and you're out. Clear your locker. Security'll walk you out. The room spun for a second. Jake stared at the paper, his throat tight. This is it? For helping a damn dog? Harrison stood, already turning away. Rules are rules. You knew the stakes. Numb, Jake shuffled to his locker. His hands moved on autopilot, spare uniform, a photo of him and Emily from better days, a half-empty pack of gum. 15 years fit into a cardboard box the security guard, Tony, handed him. Rough break, man, Tony said, clapping his shoulder as they headed to the exit. You're one of the good ones. Jake managed a nod. Thanks, Tony. Take care. Outside, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. He stood at the depot's bus stop, waiting for number 19 as a passenger for the first time in years. Irony stung worse than the cold. His phone buzzed as the bus pulled up. Unknown number. Hello? He answered, stepping aboard. Jake Thompson? Dr. Carter from Cermak Vet Clinic. That dog you brought in, he's stable. Belongs to a guy named Nathan Keller. He wants to meet you, says it's urgent. Can you swing by? Jake gripped the handrail, the box of his old life tucked under his arm. Yeah, I'll be there. The call ended, leaving a flicker of something, hope, maybe, in the pit of his stomach. But as the bus rolled toward home, all he could think was how he'd tell Emily he'd lost everything for a stranger's dog. The Cicero streets glistened under a fading drizzle as Jake stepped off bus number 19 near his apartment, the cardboard box of his old life damp under his arm. It was just past noon, but the day felt endless. His phone buzzed again. Dr. Carter's voice still echoed in his head. Nathan Keller wants to meet you. Urgent. Jake glanced at the text. Clinic. 1 p.m. He had 40 minutes. Enough time to drop his stuff and catch the next bus back. He trudged up the cracked stairs to his second-floor walk-up, the weight of the morning pressing on his shoulders. Emily's nurse, Maria, looked up from a paperback as he pushed the door open. You're early, she said, frowning. Everything okay? Jake set the box on the kitchen table. Lost the job. Long story. Maria's eyes softened. Oh, Jake. How's Emily gonna? He cut her off. I'll figure it out. She asleep? Maria nodded. I'll stay till you're back. 20 minutes later, Jake was on another bus, heading to Cermak Vet Clinic. The ride felt surreal, years of driving, now reduced to a passenger staring out at familiar streets. His mind churned. Who was Nathan Keller? Why the urgency? The clinic's glass doors slid open at 12:58, and Jake stepped into the sterile warmth of the waiting room. Dr. Carter waved him over. He's stable, Rocky, the lab. Owners are here. Before Jake could ask more, 3 black SUVs rolled up outside, their tinted windows gleaming like obsidian. His pulse quickened. Trouble or something else? A man in a tailored gray suit stepped out of the lead vehicle, phone pressed to his ear. He was tall, late 50s, with silver hair and an air of quiet authority. Dr. Carter nodded toward him. That's Nathan Keller. The man ended his call and strode inside, extending a hand. Jake Thompson? I'm Nathan. You saved my dog. Jake shook it, caught off guard by the firm grip. Glad he's okay. Just did what felt right. Nathan's gaze sharpened, like he was sizing Jake up. Not many would have stopped. Rocky's family, been with me since my wife passed. You gave me a piece of her back today. Jake shifted, unsure how to respond. Cost me my job, but I couldn't drive by. Nathan's brow lifted. CTA fired you? For that. Jake nodded, bitterness creeping in. Third warning. Boss didn't care about the why. Nathan glanced out at the SUVs, then back at Jake. Sit with me a minute. They settled near Rocky's crate, the lab sleeping soundly, bandaged legs stretched out. Tell me about it, Nathan said. Jake recounted the morning rain, the dog, Harrison's cold dismissal. Nathan listened, his face unreadable until Jake finished. Sounds like a raw deal. Ever think someone wanted you gone? Jake frowned. What do you mean? Nathan leaned closer, voice low. I run Keller Transport's corporate shuttles, high-end clients. We've been sniffing around Cicero's routes, and word is, some depot folks don't like it. Your boss, Harrison Cook, he's cozy with a rival outfit, Apex Lines. They've been poaching drivers, pushing out the reliable ones. Jake's mind raced. You saying he set me up? Nathan shrugged. Possible. Those passenger complaints? Too neat. I'd bet half were planted. Before Jake could process it, Nathan straightened. I've got an offer. Drive for me. Better pay 30% more than CTA, full benefits, including medical for your family. Start next week. Jake's mouth went dry. Why me? Nathan smiled faintly. You stopped for Rocky. That tells me you're not just a wheel turner. You care. My clients need that. Jake stared at the SUVs outside. Those yours? Nathan nodded. My team's already pulled your record clean, 15 years. Say yes, and you're in. Jake hesitated, Emily's pale face flashing in his mind. I need to think, Nathan cut in. Take the day. Call me by 8 p.m. But Jake? This isn't just a job. It's a chance to stick it to the ones who screwed you, legally. Jake left the clinic in a daze, Nathan's card burning a hole in his pocket. The SUVs peeled away, leaving him on the curb, rain-soaked and reeling. A job, better than he'd dreamed, dangled in front of him. But Nathan's words gnawed at him, planted complaints. Could Harrison really have rigged it? As he boarded the bus home, a spark of anger flared. If it was true, he wouldn't just take the job. He'd find proof and make them pay. Jake's apartment was quiet when he got back, the late afternoon sun casting slants of gold through the blinds. Maria had left a note. Emily's fine, ate lunch, call if you need me, and his sister slept on the couch, a blanket tucked around her thin frame. Jake sank into a chair, Nathan's card in one hand, his phone in the other. The offer was a lifeline. $25 an hour, health coverage for Emily, a fresh start. But the conspiracy Nathan hinted at, a setup by Harrison and Apex Lines, itched at him like a splinter. If it was true, he'd been tossed aside like trash for someone else's profit. He couldn't let that stand. He dialed a familiar number. Paul. It's Jake Thompson, from number 19. The retired teacher's voice crackled through. Jake. Heard you got canned. What's up? Jake explained. Rocky, the firing, Nathan's theory. Paul whistled. Harrison's a snake, but Apex? That's dirty. I've still got buddies at the depot. Want me to dig? Jake hesitated, then said, yeah, discreetly. Anything on complaints or Apex? Paul chuckled. On it. Sit tight. By evening, Jake's phone pinged with a text from Paul. Checked logs. 3 of today's complaints came from burner numbers, filed within minutes. Fishy as hell. Jake's pulse spiked. Burners weren't random passengers. They were plants. He called Nathan. I'm in, but I want the truth about Harrison. Nathan's tone was crisp. Good. Meet my guy tomorrow, Tom Reese, ex-union rep. He'll help you pull the threads. 9 a.m., my office on Lake Street. The next morning, Jake took the L into Chicago, nerves buzzing. Nathan's office was a sleek suite in a glass tower, a far cry from the grimy depot. Tom Reese, a wiry man with a smoker's rasp, greeted him with a stack of files. Keller says you're bloodhound material. Let's see. They pored over depot records Nathan's team had legally requested, driver logs, complaint forms, maintenance reports. Tom pointed to a pattern. 5 drivers, all with spotless records, had been axed in 6 months, replaced by Apex hires. Jake's name was just the latest. Then Tom slid over a memo, dated 2 weeks back. H. Cook to Apex, clearing slots. Need 3 more by Q2. Jake's blood ran cold. This is it. He's selling us out. Tom grinned. Not enough for court yet. But check this. He played a voicemail, intercepted legally via a depot whistleblower. Harrison's voice, smug, saying, Thompson's next. Dog stunts perfect. Apex owes me. Jake clenched his fists. That son of a, how do we nail him? Tom leaned back. Union's your play? File a grievance, attach this. I've got contacts at the DOT, Department of Transport. They'll audit the depot if we push. Jake nodded, resolve hardening. Let's do it. Over the next 2 days, Jake and Tom built the case, Paul's burner evidence, the memo, the voicemail, while Nathan's lawyers prepped a formal complaint. Jake filed it with the CTA union Friday morning, hands steady as he signed. The rep, a gruff woman named Carla, skimmed it. This is dynamite, Thompson. If it holds, cook's toast. Jake left the union hall lighter, but the fight wasn't over. Harrison had allies, and Apex had deep pockets. As he rode the L home, his phone buzzed. Nathan. DOT's in. Audit starts Monday. You ready? Jake stared out at the city skyline. Yeah, let's bury them. That night, he sat by Emily's side, her breathing soft. Found a new gig, Em. Better one. And the jerks who fired me? They're done. She squeezed his hand, weak but warm. Knew you'd land on your feet. Jake smiled, but inside, he braced for the storm. Harrison wouldn't go quietly, and Apex might hit back. The game was on. Monday dawned crisp and clear, the first dry day in a week. Jake woke early, nerves humming as he brewed coffee in his cramped kitchen. The DOT audit was greenlit, and the union had his back. At 8 a.m., he got the call from Carla. Inspectors hit the depot at 7. Harrison's scrambling. Jake pictured it. Harrison's smug face paling as suits flipped through his files. He grinned, sipping his coffee. By noon, Nathan texted, turn on WGN News. Jake flicked on the TV, Emily shuffling in to join him. The anchor's voice filled the room. Breaking story, alleged corruption at Cicero's CTA depot. Sources say manager Harrison Cook faces scrutiny over driver terminations tied to a rival firm, Apex Lines. The week unfolded like a slow-motion takedown. The DOT uncovered a paper trail, fake complaints, doctored logs, payments from Apex to Harrison's personal account. By Wednesday, the union called Jake. Cook's suspended, pending review. You're reinstated if you want it. Jake declined. Got a better gig. Just want him gone. Thursday, The hammer dropped. Apex pulled their Cicero bids after the scandal broke, and Harrison was fired, facing potential charges. The depot issued a public apology, vowing reform. Jake watched it all from Nathan's office, a sleek shuttle parked outside his new workplace. His first day at Keller Transports was Friday. The shuttle gleamed, leather seats, Wi-Fi, a far cry from number 19's rattling frame. Nathan clapped him on the shoulder. Told you kindness pays. Clients love a guy with a heart. Jake's first run was smooth, ferrying execs from a Loop high-rise to O'Hare. The pay hit his account that night, enough for Emily's meds, rent, and a cushion. He exhaled, tension he'd carried for months slipping away. Saturday, he visited Cermak Vet Clinic. Rocky bounded over, tail wagging, leg healed. Nathan was there, tossing a ball. Heard the news, Nathan said. Harrison's done. You did that. Jake crouched, scratching Rocky's ears. Couldn't have without you. Nathan shrugged. Team effort. But that fight? That was your grit. Jake stood, the weight of the week settling into pride. One choice, stopping for a dog, had toppled a crooked system, legally and fair. That night, Jake sat with Emily, a pizza box between them. She looked better, color in her cheeks. So, hero, what's next? She teased. He laughed, the sound easy for once. Keep driving. Keep fighting the good fight. Outside, Cicero's lights twinkled, a city he'd helped clean up, 1 mile at a time. Harrison faced his reckoning, Apex slunk away, and Jake rolled forward, proof that doing right, even at a cost, could steer you to victory.